What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Well, I know for me, my vacation is coming to an end. It was all a blur, but it is what it is. For me, it is officially Christmas season, so prepare to get sick of me. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to say hi to the people, and we're going to go ahead and jump in with the things of the things of the things, honey. All right, let's go. Hey, Karay, what's up, Rock Chick? Hey, Katrina. Really be you on your ish for keeping us informed. Thanks and happy blessed Sunday. Thank you so much. Lemon Kush, Amber, Diamond Pearl, what's up, Lovely 31. Hey, Rainy Bow, what's up, Ebs? Abby said, Uncle Luke is the least surprising out of everyone. Well, hey, y'all. What's up, Nikki? Hey, Candace, what's up, boo? L Love, Nikki Stevens is getting worse and worse. Yes, worse, honey. Stacy Renee, what's up, Tracy? Danny, Janae, what's up, boo? All right, Tanya, I agree. I'm honestly shocked that it's taking this long. She agreeing with Abby. Hey, citizen girl. They said, is anybody really surprised about Uncle Luke? What's up, Starbell? Hey, So you guys, look, y'all know what we've been dealing with for the last week. Okay. Cassie and Diddy kicked off, they kicked over the Hornet's Nest, and it's just been a bunch of you know what ever since. So Gloria Velez has entered the chat, right? With the accusations against Diddy and Aaron Hall. That's people dug up old interviews and statements from Gloria Velez that she spoke on Aaron Hall. In her own words, she said that he was physically, emotionally, and something else abusive to her. We also found out that they started dating, and I put that in air quotes, when she was 16 and she became pregnant at 17 with his baby, and he was 30. So again, it just brings back the conversation about that time period, that era, and the fact that nobody batted an eye. Like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I was around during that time, but I didn't I didn't remember. I didn't even know who Gloria Velez was. Okay, I've heard the name floating around, but I don't know who this woman is. And I honestly did not know she was 17 years old when she had a baby by Aaron Hall. I did not. Now, I know the question that's the first question that's going to be on a lot of people's minds as we start going through some of this is, where were her parents? And I think that's a valid question. I'm not victim blaming, but I think it's a valid question to say, girl, where were your parents? Because it's the same question we asked about Kimora. It's the same question we've asked about other people who were underage dealing with these older men. I do not have the answer to that question. I was not able. I was doing some research, and I didn't do a deep dive. I did a little dive. Okay, I did a jumping in the kiddie pool dive. But what I will say is, for me, I wasn't able to really find her speak on her parents and that situation. But it does sound like she was kind of, out there. Again, doesn't excuse. So Gloria Velez opened up with a conversation yesterday when she did come down and she spoke on her experience with Luke and Two Live Crew, and she spoke on the fact that she was groomed, right? Luke responded, and one of the first things he said was, I just found out what grooming was. Well, first he said he didn't do it, and then he said he just found out what it was. So we're going to go through what I was able to find. We're going to have that conversation. And yes, I will drop the link if anybody wants to come up and share. Okay. Okay. So hey, everybody that's coming in. Hey. Because of what Luke's music was all about, you think he protect himself better. Well, when I play this video, you might be interested to hear what he did say. Because according to him, he did protect himself. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Diamond Pearl said these parents pip their children out. How can every parent in every situation be blind of whatever is going on with their child. Citizen Jane said, I told you they were recruiting at high school. The prevailing thought was they would prefer you to be with an older guy who had something rather than get stuck with a boy from the hood. Well, we're going to get into it. So let's start with, I looked up. See, I'm trying to do some things here for y'all, okay? So I went to, I looked up what is the definition of grooming, okay? So let's talk about it. And this is coming from the Child Rescue Coalition. This is their definition. Grooming is the predatory act of maneuvering another individual into a position that makes them more isolated, dependent, likely to trust, and more vulnerable to abusive behavior. So let's break this down a little bit, because I know that one of the things that in the comments that I read was when she was there, she knew what she was doing. Everybody knows what a Luke song is, what a Luke show is all about. Everybody knows what it is, right? This definition doesn't say anything about her voluntarily choosing to be in spaces that maybe she should not have been in, i.e., her being in high school at a Luke show, right? No, this definition doesn't have anything to do with her choosing to be in bad spaces. This says the predatory act of maneuvering another individual into a position that makes them more isolated. So did Luke create a situation that maneuvered Gloria into spaces that would isolate her from her family, from her friends, that would make her be more independent on him, that would make her trust him, and that would make her more vulnerable to abusive behavior? Now, when we talk about abusive behavior, we are not just talking about him putting his hands on her. We are talking about, did he introduce drugs to her? Did he introduce sex to her? And again, I don't mean sex like boy meets girl. I'm talking about the sexual things that go, y'all know what I'm talking about, going deeper, we talking about, PORNE type stuff, right? So when we talk about the definition of grooming, I want us to keep this in mind as we go through this conversation. Because listen, I wanted to be sure too. I said, but I know what I think I know what grooming is. But let me make sure I know what grooming is. Because I know it's easy for us to get sidetracked. And I say us, I mean me. It's easy for us to get sidetracked into conversations about, well, she shouldn't even been there. Well, she was a fast ass. Well, where were her parents? All of those are valid questions. But did Luke create a situation? Y'all see where I'm going with this? All right, let me see the comments before I move on. Let me read what y'all saying in the chat. Okay. All right. My brother's friend found out I was dating an older guy and putting it into it ASAP, regardless of the parents. Isn't older men being with underage wrong? Now that's valid, Kim. That is valid as well. Superstar Buzz, I've been having the same questions about the parents. What did he did to Cassie back then? All them guys wanted a younger chick. Financial abuse as well. Financial abuse as well. R. Kelly is a groomer. Okay, see? So that's what we're talking about. Okay. All right, so who is Gloria Velez? Because again, I had to look it up myself because I didn't know this chick. So I'm gonna just read you a little bit. This is coming from a website. This is because I didn't want to use WikiLeaks. I said WikiLeaks. I didn't want to use, y'all know what I'm talking about. I didn't want to use Wikipedia, but I was able to find it. So I'm just gonna read y'all a little bit of who she is. Okay. Gloria Velez was arguably one of the most popular models in the era of the 90s and 2000s. She was New York born, Florida raised, Puerto Rican, who was a video vixen feature in the 90s and early 2000s. Velez starred along some of rap's and R&B's biggest names, and she was featured in Jay-Z's Big Pimpin', DMX, What They Really Want, Cisco's Thong Song, 112 Anywhere, Jagged Edge, Where the Party At, Ja Rule's Holla Holla, which she called her favorite video. Before hobnobbing with some of rap's most elite artists, Velez started her career as a dancer for 2 Live Crew and Uncle Luke as a teenager in the early 90s. At the peak of her career in 2000, Velez went on the road with Cisco as a dancer, as well as NSYNC on the group's No Strings Attached tour. And then it goes on to just talk about her doing other things. She was on the Chappelle show. She did a reality show. So this sort of confirms that she was, with the 2 Live Crew in the early 2000s, in the early 90s. And that's important. I'm going to get to that in a second. So I also found another video, and I don't want to play the video because I know I want to get into people with YouTube and stuff like that. But I also found another video that I was listening to where a guy was saying, he said that Luke and Velez actually dated at one point in time. Like they were actually like a couple at one point in time. I wasn't able to find, because at this point, every time I put in Gloria Velez and Luke, all that pops up is what's been going on the last 24 hours. And I tried to go deep. But I wasn't able to find a confirmation that they actually called each other boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. Now, there is video confirmation that there was sexual contact. I need y'all to read between the lines. There was a tape that was released in 2001. It doesn't mean it was made in 2001, but it was released in 2001. And it's basically a porn tape with Gloria Velez in it and Luke, and doing a lot of things. Okay. Now, I haven't seen the video, but I saw a lot of references to said video. And again, that was released in 2001. But it was not, but that doesn't mean it was made in 2001. And again, all of these dates are important if we're talking about her age and stuff like that. Let me read a couple of the comments before I move on. Listen, as someone who used to fake ID and got into places, hold on. I shouldn't have been. I can say I wasn't always honest about my age. I had to sneak to listen to 2 Live Crew and was allowed to dance for them while her parents are loose. Listen, I had to sneak to listen to 2 Live Crew as well. And again, we could do the whole 2 Live Crew thing. 2 Live Crew is the reason why we have parental discretion on albums and records now. Like, they are the reason. They took their case all the way to the Supreme Court as it relates. They got arrested for performing on stage. And it's funny, they got arrested for stuff that people just do now. Like, it's just the norm now, right? Like, when I still think back on Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion performing WAP at the Grammys, and I was like, as somebody who grew up in that era where I saw people literally getting arrested, I'm really like, wow, this is the Grammys? And maybe I'm approved. I mean, I like the song. I don't know if I like it on the Grammys. Call me approved. But anyway. Tracy's on the case. Tracy is on the case. So y'all know if Tracy find it, she'll let me know if I have it. Okay. Child, if I can tell y'all the stories. Now, as somebody who grew up in DC, I need my DC people. To drop down. Shout out to the 170 people in the room. If you have not already hit the like button, please do so. I need my DC people to drop down. Listen, Xavier said I know the tape exists. I did do my research. It ain't hard to find the tape. If you just go into any PORN website and type in Gloria Velez, it pops up. So it's there. The tape. That's why I said I confirmed video evidence. I just can't say how old she was when these things were happening. Okay. I had a fake ID. And here in DC, we have go-go music. And for those of you, I know most of y'all know go-go music. Y'all are familiar with go-go music. That's fine. But we have the go-go's. And when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, going to the go-go's, listen, things happen. Things happened. Down to the go-go. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. So, Gloria Velez, I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to drop the link after we go through all this information that I want to share with y'all. All right. So Gloria Velez, this is something that we read yesterday. This is older, but it has resurfaced since the whole Aaron Hall allegations came up. So this is an older post that she posted. She said, I've experienced a lot in this industry and never spoke out because I didn't want to hurt anyone's career, even though they hurt me. The only reason why I spoke out about my son's father was I had to protect him. I had to protect my son from him. It wasn't about me. All my life, I've heard, yeah, you was young, but look at you. Your body, you're beautiful. So our society blames the woman. Always look how you're dressed. Why did you go with him, etc. A young girl, naive, looking up to an older man, doesn't give him the right to take advantage of her. I believe those women who made claims about R. Kelly, I felt their pain. I couldn't stop the tears from coming down my face. So this is an older quote, but again, you can kind of see where this is going. So I guess yesterday, because her name was floating around with the whole Aaron Hall thing, I guess she had time. So in no particular order, I'm getting ready to go through some of the stuff that I have. Hold on. So, like I said, this is in no particular order because, child, she was dropping stuff all for the last 2 days. Um, let me see. So she wrote this. I think this was yesterday. Oh, that didn't come through. Okay. It says she posted a picture. I'm not gonna post that picture because it's a little risque. But she posted a picture and it says just 18 years old here with a oh no, it's not risque. It's the picture I have in the thumbnail. I'm sorry, I'll show y'all the picture. My bad. It's this picture right here. It's the picture I have in the thumbnail. So this is her with Uncle Luke. And she said she was 18 years old in this picture. Hold on. It's blurry, I know, but it's in the thumbnail. So she said she was 18 years old in this picture. She says the following. Just 18 years old here with a veteran already in the game at Uncle Luke. The last time we've actually seen each other in person or on the phone, I was 19 years old. A lot has been said throughout the years. Maybe soon it's time to sit down and talk like adults. I'm not a child anymore. I'm 44 now. So Luke responds, "That's my girl. Love Gloria with a heart." Now the date this says, oh, this is May 13th. So this isn't new either. Okay. So she responds to him and says, "Look at God." Luke 6:27 through 28. And Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, be good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you." Now that was in May. So it seems like she might have been, and that's it right there. Shout out to On Site because that's where I got a lot of this stuff from. So you can read right there. You see where he wrote, "That's my girl, love Gloria," and then you see her response. All right, all right. Sorry about that, y'all. So then she starts dropping stuff. Now this is the stuff that I know she's dropped in the last couple of days. Oh, that's not what I want to put up. I want to put this first. Oh, I want to put that first. Okay. So she dropped her high school ID. It says, "If you don't think grooming is happening in this business, you're sadly mistaken. It started in 1994 with Luke and a few others in this business. I was in high school." So then she dropped her high school ID where you can see that in school year 1993, 1994, she was still a high school student. She said that in the teen clubs where the predatory men scouted and groomed, it was their playground. Now, again, we had teen clubs here in DC. We had a club in Georgetown called the Library. And again, I told you we had the Go-Go's and stuff like that. I can honestly say I don't particularly remember. Maybe nobody was trying to groom me. I don't know. But I can believe that that is a place that people would go who are looking for young, naive, beautiful girls. Like, I can believe that that's a place. I'm not saying Luke was. I'm just saying I can believe that that was a place that they would go. That's what I'm saying. Um, okay. So Luke responded with this right here. Everyone around me, I encourage them to be great, better businessmen and women, better parents, better community servants. I have a long list of individuals who work for me and or are who work for me who are multimillionaires, right? So then he went live. Let me go to the chat before I play the live. Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. And then I'm gonna play the live. The live is like maybe 6 minutes long, and then I'll drop the link and we can talk about it. Okay. Honestly, if Luke wasn't named, that would be the surprise. His whole vibe was predatory. Uncle Luke already equals creep. You know what? That is true. I never thought about that, calling him Uncle Luke. I don't remember 18 and over in our teen clubs. The whole time, Uncle Luke bugged me right along with him and all that he represented. These men are clueless or great actors. I think it's a little bit of both, Superstar Buzz. I think because it was accepted and because it was the norm. Now, do I think that men knew it was wrong to force themselves on a woman? Absolutely. Yes. Yes. But I think that in situations where you have an underage girl who puts herself in a grown person's position, I think that men, because think about it, we still say that today. Well, what was she doing there? Well, she was fast. Well, where were her parents? Well, why was she out at the club? Well, why was she hanging out with this 30-year-old man? Again, that doesn't mean, I think, I just think it's two different things, right? Uncle Luke, the Pied Piper. Ooh. Uncle Luke thing is something that was going on in Miami. Okay, so that was just a Miami thing. Okay. I could see that. Was she 17 when she got pregnant? She was 16 when she got pregnant. She was 17 when she had the baby. Or was she 16 when they started dating at 17? She had the baby at 17. So yeah. So I'm gonna play this video for this is his response to what she said. So let me play it. That's the misogynist mindset. Exactly. Yeah, Luke had a reality show. I'm sure it was on some X-rated site or somewhere you had to pay extra for. I am sure. Okay. At 16, a woman doesn't know ish. Exactly. Exactly. We know that. We know they don't know nothing. They think they know. They think they got it all figured out, but they don't know ish, child. They don't know ish. All right. So let me play it for you guys now.
Learn what the grooming mean. I don't even know what the grooming mean. Grooming. Is grooming. They had to explain that to me. I got the right one. I don't have no problem going to court. I'm not Russell Simmons. I'm not them other people. I don't do that. I know my brand. My brand is Luke. Hey, we want some face down up. That's what like me so horny. The problem is when you know your brand and you know what you're singing about, you subject yourself to be in that kind of trap faster. So what you have to do is really not be about what those songs is talking about, because you can get yourself jammed up. I video everything. Everybody sign releases.
Okay. He said, I video everything. All right. Safe trip. All right. He said, I video everything. Okay.
I do shows. Ain't no underage people be doing no show with me. I fire girls. You get caught. Oh, she was.
He said no underage girls do shows with me, and we literally just showed proof that at the very least Gloria did. Now, if she did, I know there was 50 other. Well, I shouldn't say 50, but if she did, I know there were more. But we literally just proved that she was dancing for you while she was still in high school. So for you to say, I don't have no underage girls, sir, but that's not true. Maybe in your current situation in 2023. I'll keep playing it.
I have chaperone for the girls, a one head dancer. It's always one head dancer. And she put everybody in check. So you doing, this is not a traveling whorehouse. So you gonna mess around with these other artists, you're gonna get sent home, sweetheart.
All right, wait a minute. You heard what he just said? If you're messing around with other artists, you're going to get fired. You're going to get sent home, he said. So does that take us back to our definition of grooming? Creating an alienation? So she can't, somebody that works for you can't work for somebody else, or they're going to get fired? Is that not the definition of what we just read about what grooming is? I mean, I'm not listen. If I'm stretching, tell me I'm stretching. If really be you doing too much, really be you trying to connect A and Z and it ain't connected. I'm muted. Y'all can't hear me. I don't know why I'm muted. Y'all can't hear me. My thing don't say I'm muted. Okay, y'all can hear me. All right, Tracy, what you talking about? All right, I'm gonna let it's a little bit longer. I mean, it's only a little bit more. I'm gonna let the rest play.
Get fired.
Okay. Now he did. That's not the video. I mean, he has one that's a little bit longer. I mean, the video he did was longer, but I think y'all get the gist of it, Chad. Y'all get the gist of it. But essentially, he's saying, first of all, he's saying he don't even know what grooming is, and then he's saying that he didn't groom. Maybe he meant if you're there trying to hook up with other artists, you gotta go. But okay, but even with that, why you can't hook up with other artists? Why you can't hook up with other artists? All right, I'm about to drop the link. You guys want to come up and share, give your opinion. And again, maybe you say, look, I don't think this was grooming. This was just a case of a fast ass girl getting in the industry and she got what she was looking for. And listen, everybody's opinion is everybody's opinion. Okay. I see some Uncle Luke Vlad child, that damn Vlad TV. Sounds to me like he's been rehearsing this bit for a while. He's testing out his lies. Ignorance of a crime is an excuse for committing it. Okay. All right. Come on up, y'all. Come on up. Because he said it's not a traveling hoe. Right. He also said that, if you want to leave, you can leave. So, hey, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Star. Hey, Steph Boogie.
All right. Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How you guys doing today?
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey. Steph Boogie, we have Steph first, then Star, and then Nikki B. What you got, Steph?
So I've been thinking about this whole situation, and at first I thought about the parents, like where were the parents, and then I had to say, well, I don't want to let the guys off the hook by thinking about stuff like that. So I started thinking like, why? Because I have friends who were in situations growing up, and I started thinking like, why didn't I try anything? And it's because of my parents, and well, primarily because of my dad's presence. And then I started wondering. I was like, I saw a video of Gloria Velez. Somebody posted on Facebook. Looked this up, and I looked it up, and I didn't know what I was in for. And I saw a video of her doing some things to a woman on a sidewalk in Cancun, right? And so, but she was surrounded by men, and it was if she was doing it to get their approval. So it's like I think about, the girls, younger women, older men, and wonder, like, did they do stuff, or did they agree to stuff for approval? Maybe lack of father presence at home. I don't know. I'm not speculating. I'm just saying, because that's what kept me out of trouble. Like, getting my father's approval by not effing up. So it's like, I wonder if some people, went down a certain path because they saw they got good positive feedback from these men, whether it be older or whatever, but they got positive feedback from these men and they liked that attention, because it was lacking in other areas. That doesn't make it right, but I'm just trying to make sense of all of this. That's all.
I understand. Tracy, your device isn't connecting. I'm not sure what's going on, but I see you backstage, but it says your device isn't connected. So you might want to go out and come back in. All right. I think that's a good point you bringing up. Star, what you got, babe?
Hey, I kind of want to mimic what the young lady was just saying. I think that in order for us to move forward with types of situations like these as parents, we have to talk to our kids, and we got to talk to our kids early on. However, I was just watching, I think his name is Willie D's live,
Star, what
and
you got, babe? Yeah, he was
so,
live.
hey, I kind of
Yeah.
want to mimic what the young lady was just saying. I think that in order for us to move forward with for some reason it's making me I think someone is muted. Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So I was watching his live, and something that a lot of people are not speaking about is, what about like the women who have done this stuff? Like, for instance, the first person that always pops in my head is Tank. He talked about how early on, these types of things happened to him. And I'm just wondering, what would be like would the internet be in full support if he went and filed a lawsuit against the women who, did that early on to him? I feel like with this Luke situation, he has went on interviews and acknowledged the fact that he knows this girl. So that right there, I mean, she was at your sex. There's no reason why a girl at that age should even be dancing for you, unless, again, like the young lady said, unless her parents approved it or whomever. How did she get there? How was this approved? Did she produce a fake ID? That was another thing that was brought up. Like, should girls who produce fake IDs be held responsible? And so I just think that's something to think about, because if girls are producing fake IDs, how can men then know these things? So it's just so many questions that I need answered, especially when it relates to this young lady, the Gloria lady. I don't know. It's sad either way it goes.
And I have had that conversation before as well. If you are in a space where you're not supposed to be there unless you're over 21, then I think it's okay that the assumption is that you're over 21. But in the situation with Luke or whatever, this man she worked for him, which means that, ideally you filling out, tax paperwork or whatever the situation is. So this isn't just, oh, I saw you at the club kind of thing. This is
I'm sorry, I hate to cut you. I don't mean to cut you off, but how could she fill out tax paperwork? She wasn't of age. So therefore, it had to be,
that's my point.
And we have to be honest. These parents, and it's very unfortunate, but these parents trick out their kids. I'm going to say this and I'm going to drop down because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with, well, I'm pretty sure everybody watches it, Basketball Wives. It was a season where this young lady by the name of Dominique was on there. I know her personally. She met the guy who she was married to at the age of 16. Her parents did not care because he was already in the league. Stuff like that happens all the time. As long as there is a check coming through, the guardians or parents don't care. And we need to talk about that more, because it's like, how do we get here? Yes, you do have some households where kids don't have their parents, so they get off into every little thing. But these types of situations where, like you said, she's on payroll, she like there is an adult there's an adult around. Like we have to be. I just feel like in these type of situations, we have to like be more real about what has really happened in some of these situations. Now, every situation isn't the same, but even the Kelly stuff, those parents pushed their kids out there with this man because they thought that they were about to become superstars. As long as the check was coming through, they were okay with it. So I don't know.
Well, that wasn't the case in all of those girls with R. Kelly, but okay. What you got, Nikki B?
So not to discredit, anything that Star just said, but I actually had a pretty heated discussion with my brother earlier, and it seems like the shift always happens because we want to shift accountability to everyone but the pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents are still married. The bottom line is I still messed around with older guys. Now, nothing crazy, no like huge age gap, but I still did it. The difference was, I guess, I knew what I was doing was wrong. It wasn't like, oh, I don't recognize that this older man is out of bounds for what he's doing with me. I always knew it was a problem, and for the reason of the age difference. However, I did it anyway. I have never been asked by a man, can he see my ID? Unless I was
Right.
going to the liquor store.
True.
Not
True.
ever.
Me either.
And it will never happen. Men are not going to ask that question. Women
Right.
aren't going to ask that question either, because we don't want to date anybody that we even have to question that. Women like to date older. Men like to date younger. It's not because of the looks and all of that. Kenya Moore, Sheree Whitfield. And I know those aren't the norm, but the bottom line is that what 50 used to look like don't look like that no more. People are holding it together. Men like to date younger because of the mind control, because of the manipulation. I don't care if the girl made a fake ID. I don't care if her parents allowed it. The final stop is with that adult man in that situation. So, I'll say this and leave it. But if you have the chance to take advantage of someone, to get over on someone, and I'm sure we've all been in that power position to get over on someone, your true character comes out with the next choice that you make. I am an adult woman. I could have slept with, younger guys. They want it. They want it. And they look good. It never crosses my mind. It's never a thought. I don't care if his parents are in jail or on drugs. We don't even get that far. You are a child. This is inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So if all else fails, if your family fails you, if your conscience fails you, if the church fails you, I'm not going to fail you, because I'm not going to fail myself. That's disgusting to me. It's about your character, not the laws.
And I want to say this too. I see the people in the chat saying about paperwork. The only reason why I brought up the paperwork is because that's what he just said in his video, that he has everybody sign releases and that he has everything videotaped. So that's the only reason why I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious. So I don't want y'all to think that I really think that Luke had people. But I'm going by what he said. He said that he good. You know what I'm saying? That he on the up and up. Because that's all I was saying.
Really be real quick. I forgot to say this. I think that the issue is that back in the day, they had trainers or groomers, coaches, specialists to help these people. The Olivia Popes to come in and help these people when they have to give presentations or, make comments and statements. That doesn't exist anymore. So in my opinion, this interview with Luke, it's so incriminating. Like he was just talking and it's like, oh, they had to fill out paperwork. Oh, for okay, well, she was underage, so how did that like and what do you mean if they dated anybody else then they got kicked off? That sounds like when Diddy allegedly made the threat about blowing up Kid Cudi's car, and then wouldn't you know it, it blew up because he was interested in Cassie. Like you saying a whole lot. Like where's the media training to say no comment? And guilty people talk a lot. They tell on themselves. Smart criminals, they just yes, no. One word answers. He's going and he is incriminating himself. And for some reason, people still think that this young lady could be lying. That was how it was back in the day. It wasn't as frowned upon, sadly. But it happens.
Thank you. Bat, what you got, boo?
I think as far as Luke goes, I think that in his mind, he thinks that if he wasn't sleeping with these young girls, that he couldn't have been doing anything wrong. Like I don't think that he realizes that providing the environment that facilitated, a dude like Aaron Hall sleeping with the Gloria Velez, I don't think that he thinks that that was anything that makes him culpable. And so that's why he's being so open and willing to speak as much as he is, because he literally think, well, hey, it wasn't me who was like impregnating a 16-year-old. So what can y'all even do to me, And then I wanted to say something else I was trying to think of. I was in Miami in the 90s, right? Not a teenager really, but I was growing up in Miami in the 90s. And I can tell you 100% the dudes who wanted to be around high school girls and middle school girls were legitimately hanging around high schools and middle schools, or around the McDonald's or Popeyes or whatever in the world that was around high schools and middle schools. They knew exactly what they were doing. Them girls ain't have to provide no fake IDs.
Well, remember that's
they
where
were literally
they
there.
said R. Kelly was down to the McDonald's. Remember they said he would hang out at the McDonald's across the street from the high school?
And it was the same in Miami.
Yeah.
Downtown. It was
what happened?
R. Kelly used to hang out at the famous rock and roll McDonald's downtown. It was a known hangout spot for young people because it was open 24 hours.
Right. But he would also hang out over at his high school because they said his former teachers would see him and be like, he graduated. What is he doing here? So, he put himself in those spaces,
No, not only that, he would come up to the high school and he would see the principal before he came into the high school and tell them he was going to the music room, and they would send girls in there to sing for him. So it was worse than that. But yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you fine. Go ahead, finish up that. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it even went as far as because where I wasn't the nicest. You even had police officers who were in police cars who were supposed to be securing that area, and some of them were out there trying to pimp the young girls too. And so you didn't need nobody to have no fake ID. As far as like a dude who wanted to find young people, they knew what they were doing. That's all I wanted to say.
No problem. I want to read this from I'm gonna come to you, Auntie Nettie, but I want to read this first. But let's be real, 18 is just legal, not right. A grown man dating an 18-year-old with a huge age gap between them, so for the same reason that they would date a 15 or 16-year-old. I agree. And that was some of the comments that when we were talking about the Diddy the other night, I was talking about these big age gaps. And again, I understand that 18 is legal, but I still have the same question. I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm gonna let you guys speak. I took a seminar. You guys know I used to work at the jail, and I had to take a seminar on trafficking. And in the state of Maryland, they had to pass a law, or they were working on passing a law that extended, I don't know the right language, but basically prosecution in the case of child trafficking, because there was a situation where a child, she was 17 years old. She had been kidnapped. She was being trafficked, and she turned 18. And in her mind, 18 was, I guess, the day was go day for her. And so she escaped. She escaped her captor at age 18, but she didn't have any money. She didn't have a way to get home. So what did she do? She got caught doing the only thing she knew how to do to try to get enough money to get home. She was arrested and she was charged with prostitution. But literally, had it been the day before, it would have been no offense and she would have been treated as a victim of child trafficking. But because literally the clock struck midnight and it was a day later, not even 24 hours later, but a day later. And so they actually had to pass a law. And again, I don't know the language of the law that extends that, because again, just because you are now 18, yes, the law says that you're illegal, but does it change the mindset of somebody that is 30 years old dating an 18-year-old, or 32, 33 years old dating an 18 or 19-year-old? I'm just saying, again, I'm throwing that out there.
Or
Auntie Nettie,
however
thank you
old
for your
Marcus Houston was.
right. And he waited. Remember, Marcus Houston waited. He had known her. According to him, he waited. I don't know if I believe it, but according to him, he waited, right? And
He don't
again, we
believe
saw
that.
the same thing with in Cassie's paperwork. She knew Diddy from the time she was 19, but she said he waited until her 21st birthday before he finally made his move on her. Actually, literally the day of her 21st birthday is when he made his move. So again, these people are patient. And yes, they are grooming. In the interim, they are grooming. But that's just my opinion. And y'all got mad at me the other night when I brought up a certain person's name. So I ain't gonna bring it up again. But go ahead, Auntie Nettie. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, my love. And Tracy and then Citizen Jane, you guys are next. I dropped the link. I'm gonna drop it one more time in case anybody wants to come up. But go ahead, Auntie Nettie.
Hey, thanks for having me up, really, B. And
Thanks
I
for coming
love
up.
y'all for covering this. First of all, they need to stop running the Vlad TV. Everybody going to jail. Number one.
Oh Lord, I don't know why they go to Vlad.
Because he going to turn everything over. That man groomed those girls. I don't care what kind of ID you got. If you talk to a 16-year-old long enough, you going to know she's 16. Point blank
Absolutely.
and period. His words were, if she was with another artist, she was fired.
That's what he
Why?
said.
Why? You keeping her just for your artist? You keeping her just for the ones you got her there for? And baby, you can come from the best household. Some parents do push their kids to get famous. Those ones should be held responsible as well as the pedophile. But what we're not going to do here is victim shame and victim blame. We're not going to do that here. It's a guy right now in my little town of Forest City, Arkansas. He called himself PYT. He has over 30 children. Most of them are by mentally challenged kids at the high school. He had about 4 of them pregnant at the same time. He not in jail and he ain't got no money. He get them, take them to lunch, and tell them you might. They interview some of them. He has so much child support. Some of them getting 50 cents a month. They interviewed 2 of those girls on TV. They say he took me to lunch and then he said I was his girlfriend because he took me to lunch. They mamas think they at school in class, and he done went and picked them up. Pedophiles find a way. And believe me, they groom those kids. They don't just jump out and get them like that. They look for kids who they think are looking for love. They look for young ladies like that. They start out being nice to them, taking them to lunch. If they look a little underprivileged, they start buying them things. First of all, you ain't my uncle. And at 16, if I can't trace you in my family tree, I ain't calling you uncle nothing. I'm not sitting on your knee and I'm not sitting at your feet. All of them need to have a cell right in it. Well, I don't know where he at now. They need to be right up in there with Mr. Kelly. As crazy as Jaguar Wright is, she told us about Diddy, and then nobody want to believe her.
Listen, a broken clock is still right twice a day.
Twice a day. But and you know what? Even though they didn't extend that, Cassie has given a lot of women the courage to come and tell a story.
I agree.
It's gonna be some more come out. Now, the only one I consider the money grab was the Jamie Foxx, because she done tried it and it got thrown out before.
Right.
And I'm still not victim shame blaming her just yet. But you came back for a second round. It made me kind of look at you. But Aaron Hall, he admitted he would just grab him and snatch him in a room the way he looking. He said it.
He said it. His own words. His own words to convict him.
Run down there to Vlad TV and get the laughing and talking and smoking and drinking, partaking with the cocaine or whatever, and just telling all your business.
Yeah. Yep.
And now the bodyguard coming out. Oh, baby, it's gonna be some more. If he watched Cassie, he watched some more. And if did it finna get right up, I keep telling y'all from signing checks. This man ready to talk. He got a guilty conscience. He say he got 4 daughters and he look at things differently now.
Yeah,
we might find out some more. We might find out some more about Kim if you keep on talking. But Uncle Luke, get ready. You had a hand in this. In my opinion.
And
I don't care about no ID.
I got you.
She said they scoured the teenage clubs. So if he found her at a teenage club, he knew she wasn't of age. I don't care what kind of ID she showed him. And I think that was Star saying the fake ID. Then you see her where she say they scoured the teenage clubs. She was in a teenage club as a teenager. She was where she was supposed to be to have fun. Them old men weren't supposed to be in there. But see, when you got money and stuff, they overlooked it. And Diddy, Aaron Hall, all of them could have walked in any club where you got to be 21 with one of them little girls on their arm. And because they are who they are, wasn't nobody going to ask them for no ID. And if Tank go to suing some of them women that did it to him, I'm going to be in his corner too. Because SA is SA regardless of who do it.
I agree.
And I'm going to drop down and be in the chat. And y'all have a good day. Hey, Tracy.
Hey.
Tracy, thank you so much for coming up. Tracy, you're next. But let me say this real quick. Nikki B said, I think the mindset parallels child groomers versus Dr. G, Sweet Tea, and Quad age range. Still grooming, but each woman is old enough to peep game and bounce, i.e. Quad. Now, I'm going to say this for those of you that just came in. I'm going to just show this definition one more time. It don't say nothing about age. It don't say nothing about age. Grooming is a predatory act of maneuvering another individual into a position that makes them more isolated, dependent, likely to trust, and more vulnerable to abusive behavior. Now, I mean, to use that example, Sweet Tea saw what went down between Quad and Dr. G, but again, has Dr. G put Sweet Tea in a position where she's dependent on him? Well, she lived in Texas and she moved to Atlanta. I mean, again, we just talking about conversations. Tracy, what's up, boo?
So I am probably one of those in the minority, to a certain extent, right?
Give it to me.
Because I was one of those people with the fake ID at the places that
Me
they
too.
shouldn't have
I had a
been,
fake ID.
knowing
Me too.
knowing I was at the places I shouldn't have been with the people I shouldn't have been with by choice because no one was like, oh, come here and visit. No, it was like, oh, I want to go there to see what that is like. So I went. Now I didn't tell my parents where I was going. Absolutely not. My dad would have strangled me. Never. But so there was always a way to get yourself into an environment that you wanted to be into for whatever reason you may have wanted to be there. So there is, I think the part that we're kind of leaving out is there are different situations all the time. So it's not always a blanketed one size fits all. I think with the Luke and his mindset, because you also have to remember he was doing adult entertainment at that time too. So when he's saying like, "Oh no, I got releases, everything's recorded, everything is fine," I think he is thinking like, she was an adult. Like it was signed, it was done, it was whatever. When anything happened with him, you know what I mean? I don't think he is thinking of the place that you put her in beforehand is how we're looking at grooming. I think he's looking at it like, oh, I didn't sleep with this underage person because they were technically of legal age. So it doesn't apply to me, which is, I think, the part that he's not getting that we're thinking of. You see what I mean? Because if you really think about what he said, it's like, okay, but what does that have to do with you grooming? Because grooming has nothing to do with that. And I think he was thinking like, the people who are being accused of sleeping with minors is the people that he listed when he was listing out people who had problems. So I think that was the place he was coming from, which is not the place we're all looking at it from, sir. You still have a problem. But for me personally, as someone who like did things that wasn't necessarily the right thing to do and put myself in places that I technically should not have been in. Did anyone ask me for an ID? No. But they asked me how old I was, and I gave them an age. I gave them an age that to me felt like it was passable, presentable. Yeah, I'm 18. Now, was I? No. But that's what I said. Could I had passed for someone 18? I mean, kinda, sorta. Shoot, depending on who you look at, some people are very young and look super old. Some people are old and look young. So was it possible that I could have been? Sure. And was I in a place that I shouldn't have been, or a place where, where 21 and older, 18 and older are at? So there's no reason why I shouldn't have been there in that mindset. True. I mean, did I put myself there? I did. So sometimes we can't always blame the person. And I think with Luke, he necessarily wasn't the person going out scouting, which is also why he was like, nah, da 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 da, but not realizing that, okay, it may not have been you, but it was the people who was with you. It was the people who was a part of your camp who was just getting these people. And you do hold some sort of responsibility. It's just a little different than I think he is thinking of it, which I think where is the discrepancy between what he keeps saying and what we all looking at.
Okay. I got you. All right. Susan Jane and then Bat.
Okay. Let me go. I'm going to say something very unpopular right now. I think that people are I understand their outrage, and I'm not disagreeing with that part. But I think people are taking things out of context. A lot of, in the 80s and 90s, these girls have been latchkey kids since they were 8 years old. We have a problem in our community with assigning adult responsibilities disproportionately to female children to begin with. I have friends who were more responsible for what went on in that household than their older brothers are. were. If the kitchen wasn't clean, the bathrooms weren't clean, I told you to do this, I told you to do that. We were expected to run and pay bills. We had a lot of adult responsibilities very early. It is not like it is today. We were left to manage ourselves. So by the time girls got to be 14, 15, 16 years old, and boys too, but we're talking about girls now, they were expected to work. And back then, they didn't have, I don't know about everywhere, but in Illinois, they didn't have that many restrictions on when you were working, because there would be girls falling asleep at school because they had to close a restaurant, or they had to work a late shift at a grocery store, or they had to do inventory during retail. So you have a different, not only that, I went to a vocational high school for a period of time. And a lot of those girls had office jobs where they worked with grown men. They worked at UPS. They worked at the post office. They worked in places where they organically encounter grown men, right? So the mentality, one other thing people are forgetting, during that time, teen pregnancy was so out of whack. At my high school, they were talking about putting in a daycare center. And all of those girls were not pregnant by grown men. A significant number were, but a lot of those girls were pregnant by young boys. So you got two things converging at the same time. You have girls who perceive themselves as being adult women. The problem is they can't see around corners. They really don't understand what they're getting into. You got parents who are kind of like, look, I would prefer, you got to understand, parents were putting their girls on birth control pills as soon as they started their periods back then. They were telling them, look, if you gonna do it, just don't come in here pregnant. Because that was the biggest thing for our community. And that's what we're talking about, right? And so these girls were out there, and these are their choices. You can date the boys in the neighborhood who ain't got no money. They want sex too. There's the same pressures to have sex because we're living in the same over-sexualized culture. Or you can go with a man who has a car, who seems to have some stability and stuff like that. So a lot of parents turned a kind of blind eye or didn't ask too many questions as long as he didn't look like he was 30. And that was the other thing. Our generation was the first where there wasn't that much delineation in appearance between somebody 15 and somebody 30. A lot of those guys were dressing like high school boys. They were wearing all the same gear, doing all the same things. So just as girls lied and said, I'm 18, he would lie and say, oh, I'm just 23. And the truth of the matter is he was really 28. And unless you knew somebody who knew him, you didn't know how old he was. Last point. This wasn't a situation where there were IDs being handed out. Nah. What was happening in a lot of these situations was a guy would say to you, come and be in my music video. Come to my club, and I'm going to pay you as much money as you're going to make in a week at a regular job. Now, I ain't going to say no amounts because it wasn't that much money. But you're going to make, I'm going to give you some clothes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that for you. And I'm going to get your hair done. I'm going to get your nails done. I'm going to do all the things that girls want at those age, and a lot of girls from these communities just can't afford. And they're pretty girls, and they got their nose pressed up against the glass because they see all these things and they want them, and they don't have any way to get them. They got no one to shepherd them through it, right? Now, I'm not excusing these guys for being predators. I'm just trying to give context to what was going on during that time. Because if you were a girl and you grew up under certain circumstances and you were pretty, you realized that you had to take advantage of your youth while you had it, your youth and your beauty while you had it. You had seen other women lose it very quickly. Remember, this is the crack era too. So we had seen girls get cracked out and a whole bunch of bad stuff happen. There were a lot of things that led to this decision making. And these girls thought that they were making good decisions, that they were being smart. They just couldn't see around corners to understand how deep and dark it would go. But they thought this is better than the alternative because they didn't have an alternative. Yeah, because the girls who got pregnant by the 16-year-old boys, he was just as likely to be like, that ain't mine. I don't know what she talking about. And his parents would go along with it. And y'all know that's true. At least with a 30-year-old guy, she'll be like, well, at least he's paying for things and he's taking. She doesn't even realize the trick bag she's being caught up in. And as far as them being in adult spaces, it wasn't that hard because women attract men, right? And you want to go where the hot music is, where the action seems to be. So it's not that it wasn't like it is today where somebody's going to look at your ID and really look at it. Back then, shoot, we used to go buy cigarettes and liquor for our parents with notes. Like you could literally go to the store, and if the people knew you, you just say, "Oh, this is for my grandmother, from my mother, for Miss Jones," and they would give it to you. So all the rules that are in place now, those did not exist. So you have young women who literally were forced to be, in many ways, adults. And they made very bad decisions because they didn't realize that the guys they were making these decisions for or with were predators. Because they knew what they were doing, the girls didn't. The other thing I'm going to say is that Uncle Luke probably did have them sign a model release because he was always getting in trouble. And he probably had them sign. I've been to Uncle Luke's shows. They were actually relatively tame by today's comparisons, the ones I went to. I mean, some of the chicks in the audience were actually wilder than the girls on stage because they were trying to get attention. But it was just like during that time, just like boys dreamed of going to the NBA or being athletes or being rappers, the girls wanted to be models or video girls because modeling used to really pay. If you could get, some commercial print work, like with, like a department store or a catalog, or even those little one-off urban brands, that's $500. That was like a month's salary back then for a high school girl. Plus you got clothes. I mean, it's a very tempting offer, and you're around these guys, and they become familiar to you, and they don't present like they're so much older than you. They present like they're your age. The reason that's dangerous is because you're thinking of them as peers, and they know they have knowledge and game more than you do. That's the dangerous part about it. They know they can line you up and drug you and get you in a room and record you, talk you into doing dumb things. They get you to confide in them. Tell me about your sick mama. Tell me about your little brothers. They would come by the house and buy the brothers basketballs and buy your little sister the latest baby doll. It was insidious. So the game is so deep. A lot of these guys did eventually, some of them married the girls and ended up in long-term partnerships, like Beyonce and Jay-Z, the name Really B won't mention. But some of them, the story wasn't pretty. We couldn't see the problem with 16-year-old girls. They can't tell who's going to be the guy that's going to marry you and give you a family and security, and the guy who's just out to use you. That's
the
age limit.
Wait. Yeah. So wait. See, I think there's also a piece that we're not factoring in here, because although if I ran down the laundry list of things that I did, that I said that I was into, y'all be like, what the heck? I've still been the same, like I so that isn't always necessarily true. And for the comment of your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25, like no, it was my choice, because my parents was like, hey, you can go with your sister to your best friend's house, and I'm going to send you down there. And that's great, because I'm in New York. They sent us to Atlanta. So I was with family, going to stay with family, and all of that. And I knew, I was like, okay, cool. And it was 2 days before my 16th birthday. My friend was like, hey, this is going on. Not because some guy, some anything else. It was, oh, well, your birthday's coming up. We gonna go here for your birthday. We gonna go because this is where everybody gonna be. This is what everyone's doing. Da 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 da. So it was like, oh, the things.
Were you down at Freaknik?
Yes, I was.
Hard.
Oh, I was at Freaknik twice.
Whatever. Listen. And I was definitely underage. So,
but I think, well, I wasn't underage, but I think that we are, again, I think we're conflating two different things, and the points are valid to say that as young people, we make bad decisions and we put ourselves in situations that could end us somewhere where we don't want to be. I accept that. And I accept that Gloria Velez, clearly she was a high school student who was putting herself in these situations. She was making those choices. The question, though, is, did somebody, maybe not necessarily Uncle Luke or whomever, did somebody groom her into a deeper situation that she did not necessarily choose to be in? I think we can all accept that all of the things that y'all said are valid. And I mean, again, I did things and made bad decisions, and I tell y'all all the time, but for the grace of God go I. So I accept that. I'm nobody. I think we're conflating the two things. Nobody is saying that girls don't make bad decisions, or boys, right? We are all young and think we got it all figured out, and think our parents don't know shit, and you don't know. Those are the olden days. Like we've all had those conversations with our parents. But I think that what the question that I'm asking is, did these men groom these girls who put themselves in these positions? So yeah, I use a fake ID to get into the club, but did some dude, kind of what you were just saying, Citizen Jane, did some dude slide up to me and make all these promises and whisper in my ear and say, hey, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and oh, your mama need her rent paid, I'm gonna take care of that. And then 6 months later, you realize, wait a minute, he don't let me go see my mama no more. I don't get to go hang out with my friends anymore, and now he has me doing some strange things for change. That's the question I'm asking. I'm saying, were these women groomed? That's the
Yes.
question. So again, y'all are making valid points. Please know that. But again, us putting, and I don't think it's victim blaming to accept the fact that we make that, and I'm talking from a women's perspective right now, because I know it happens to men too, but I'm speaking from my perspective. I think we can all accept that some of us put ourselves in bad situations that could have definitely gone left. But did those women then, once they were in those bad situations, everybody that dated an older man didn't get groomed. But are there women who dated older men? Now, again, I'm not talking about 15 dating 30. I'm talking about, okay, 18, 19 dating 30,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the question. That's what I'm saying. Bat, what you want to add, Boo? What you want to add? And a therapist, Pam, who is a licensed therapist, I just wanted to make sure I threw her comment up there. Thank you, my love. Go ahead, Bat. What you got, Boo?
I have lost what I was gonna say because I was listening to what Citizen Jane was saying, and I just agreed so much. Um, what she was saying was like basically the story of a ton of the girls in the high school that I went to in the late '90s, early 2000s. I remember a girl in ninth grade sitting there talking about her quote unquote daddy taking her to the Marriott and paying for bills and things like that for her family. It was more than that. It was plenty more than her. And so I was just listening to her and agreeing. Oh yeah, what I wanted to say is, how is Aaron Hall not in jail?
But again, that is a good question. But again, it almost goes back to what Jane was just saying. In that time period, you looked at things from the perspective that now we look back on it and we're like, why the hell wasn't that man arrested? But again, I mean, I guess nobody pressed charges. I guess her parents didn't pursue anything. And, she clearly never went to, well, I'm going to say she never did that. I mean, I say that to our knowledge, because I haven't done a deep dive, but maybe she never went to the police and filed a report. I mean, him getting her pregnant at 17, maybe the age of consent where they were living was 16. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe he didn't break the law.
Or maybe
Because
people just looked at her and
the
saw a
age of
young,
consent is
fast
not
girl.
18 everywhere.
Yeah, but maybe they just
Yeah.
looked at her and saw a young girl being fast and didn't even think to even want to pursue anything legally from her family on, you know?
Not,
It could be that, but
it's not about being fast. It's kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, Gloria grew up in the projects. And New York projects are kind of different
Yep.
than projects here. So, I mean, like, I even know from growing up in the hood, you didn't have air conditioning. You hung outside. We were outside a lot. We were constantly going to the store for adults. We were outside. That's what that means. We were literally outside all summer long. It was not hard for these guys to gain access to you. Because one of the things that annoys me is when brothers get mad about the song Scrubs, because I know if my father caught me talking to a guy who yelled at me from a car, or he found out that I yelled at a guy from talked to a guy from a car, he would have a real big problem with that. There was a whole thing about, it was a different culture. Like a lot of the things that they feel that have come up lately, I feel that people are quick to label them as being fast. And I hate that term because
Right.
these girls were
yeah, I do too.
to
I do
be
too.
adults. They were for like take for example, if you saw my 8th grade graduation pictures, all of the girls had sheer chiffon dresses, heels and stockings with feathered hair and makeup. And we were doing, it was not uncommon for that time for us to do our version of looking grown up. You know what I mean? Becoming young women. And the
Because what else is the girl supposed to do but want to become a woman?
and becoming a young woman in the hood, let's put it like this. I was 11 years old carrying a Barbie doll to the store when the first man came and propositioned me. And my story is not uncommon.
Not at
You
all.
If you look a certain way, you are not allowed a childhood in this community.
You are so right.
You are not allowed a childhood. It's not about being fast. It's about who's going to get you first and what you're going to get for it and how you going to get out of that damn neighborhood. Let's keep it a buck. A lot of us were no different than the guys slinging dope or playing ball. We wanted out by any means necessary. We didn't want to live like that. We wanted something better. We didn't know how to get it. We just wanted a piece of it. We weren't asking for the things these girls are asking for nowadays. It wasn't designer. Girl, most of the time you were lucky if you got your hair and nails done in a Coach bag. What you talking? You know, you really stepped it up if you got the basic level Gucci, right? That's what it was back then. These girls were not fast. They were forced to navigate an adult world without any guidance. And it's
Right.
not fair to call them fast. I'm sorry, but I feel very strongly about that.
No, I agree. I agree, and people in the chat agree as well. Let me acknowledge I have two super chats, and I want to thank you so much. Culture Base says I think we are adding the new laws in place now to a different time. The age of consent was lower in the 90s, 80s, and 2000s. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. As a history teacher, that's something I always have to tell my students. We can't look at history with a 2023 eye. And yes, even though back then it probably should have been common sense, but when we think about the Elvis Presleys of the world and the Jerry Lee Lewises of the world, and there was a situation where Aerosmith, his ex-girlfriend, talked about she was 15 when she started dating him and traveling with the band. Like, was it probably immoral and wrong back then? Absolutely. But we're looking back at it with a 2022 mindset, and that just wasn't the mindset back then. Like you said, back then, parents who were in bad situations, a lot of times they encouraged, well, he could take care of you and he got money and he's good to you. We know that these things happen, right? So I mean, I agree with you on that one. And Nikki B, thank you so much for the super chat. Men groom women in many ways. It starts with a grab, then a choke, then a slap, then a fist. He slowly acclimates his victim. I agree. I agree. And somebody sent me a Cash App, and I thank you so much for the Cash App. I do not call people's legal names unless you want me to. If you want me to say your name, because I want to definitely acknowledge you, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But on here, it is coming up as your legal name, and I don't really want to call out people's legal name. So, but thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate that. Let me look at the chat. Kings Mina, you were okay. Kings Mina said something that I want to read because this was me. Kings Mina said we also understand it wasn't girls that lived in the projects. I lived in a nice neighborhood, but the projects was my playground. It was exciting. Listen, I was the same person. I was hanging out in the hood. I was hood adjacent. I lived hood adjacent, but I hung out in the hood with my friends because you're right. It was always something going on, honey. It was always a good time. And again, like I said, um, we're here for the conversation. I don't think anybody's right or wrong. I mean, nobody has come up here that made me be like, oh, girl. So nobody's right or wrong. We all have our point of view, and I think it's just a good conversation. Right. And again, because these things just keep coming out, we had this. Well, we talked about this the other night when I said, did Cassie start that she started hip hop Me Too movement. And again, a lot of this information was hiding in plain sight. We're pulling up videos and interviews that people did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. This stuff isn't new information. I mean,
Girl,
Cassie's lawsuit was a blockbuster, but I'm saying a lot of these other things that are happening now, these people have been saying these things. We knew about these things. But Gloria Velez told us years ago that Aaron Hall beat her. There are things that are not new information. And so now it's kind of like now it's like we're putting all the pieces of this puzzle together, and it's not painting a very pretty picture as it relates to. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to answer the phone. I answered the phone by accident. Hey, hold on, y'all. Yes, ma'am.
I've done that before.
Look, I will say this as someone who is openly willing to accept that I would say I was more curious than anything else because I had all older siblings. So I was like, I want to go where y'all go, see what y'all like. What is this thing? So mine was more from a place of curiosity that I did the things that I did when I did them, or went to the place I went to. Or I was like, I just kind of want to see what this is, experience what that is in that mindset. So I do also think that because there are so many different things that could have been going on at the same time for different people, it is always looked at differently, right? So this person might have been groomed. This person might not have. This person might just have been there, as some people said in the chat. Some people just might have been there to dance and have a good time and nothing happened. So I think because there are so many different things that could have been going on at the same time, because it's not just a blanketed statement, none of it is right or wrong. What I do think is if anyone did anything to anybody that was against their will, lock them up.
Well,
I'm a great advocate of jail. Send them on.
I agree with Tracy at this point. And something really B said too, I want to touch on. This behavior, the grooming and what it does to the mind of a young girl carries over through life. I have friends who are in their 40s, 50s, and hell, even 60s now, who still haven't recovered from that same cycle of dealing with narcissistic, abusive men because they think that's normal, because they've been so conditioned to be so. A lot of these guys, let's talk about it. A lot of these guys, when you look into their background, their dads were pimps and players. They really embraced the whole pimp culture, which was a cornerstone of early hip hop, and a lot of them did not have the emotional intelligence or the societal restraints to not just smack a chick if she got out of line. That was considered masculine, and keeping a masculine frame and keeping your chick in check and all of that. Don't look at anybody. That's all pimp stuff. You don't be reckless eyeballing these guys up in here. You belong to me. I remember the first time I heard Iyanla say, and this was when I was really young, that if a guy offers to buy you a pager, he's putting a leash on you. And we thought,
if you offered to buy you a what?
A pager.
Oh, a pager. Okay.
Because what would happen is the older guys would buy the young girls pagers, and then they would be like, you gotta call me, back at so and so number. So they were constantly running to the payphone. That's how old I am. I'm telling my age now. They were constantly running to the payphone. I gotta call so and so. to just check in and to tell them what time to pick me up and this, that, and the other. It is not difficult to take and manipulate a young girl into thinking that this is love, because they also took on a paternal role. So it's not true, because I've seen it happen to girls with fathers, because the guy got in because he told him, I'm going to take care of your daughter. I'm going to treat her like you do. And that's the role he kind of took over. I mean, he made, and you don't know what kind of discipline was being met out in her home by her father. So her father could be like, I whoop you because I love you. And she interprets that as, oh, well, my dad whooped me because he loves me and he took care of me and he provided for me. Therefore, this is normal. I think that a lot of things that we have worked through on Oprah, and I know everybody hates Oprah, but a lot of that needed to be talked
I
about.
don't hate Oprah. Who hate Oprah?
Oh, girl, there was this Oprah ain't, Oprah is hasn't done well by the Black community, especially for women, because she made us all feminists and got us to hate Black men and talk about all of this stuff. They don't want us talking about this. They want the status quo to continue. And I think it's
Okay,
really,
I didn't know we was blaming Oprah for that. I didn't know that. Okay.
oh girl, I'll give you the Color Purple synopsis. I'll write it up for you. Um,
I
You
blame
don't need to
Oprah for
write it
not
up for
giving me a
me.
car.
I'm about to say you ain't gotta write it up for me. I don't need to hear none of that because I've never been. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother.
yeah, but
I
Can
don't
I
hate
address that
Oprah.
comment that's on the screen, really be?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, and sorry if you were about to do that, but I just wanted to. It's been on my brain since you posted it up there. Um, I think a person can call them like label themselves, however, but overall, that term fast isn't even necessarily just used to describe a girl who's quote unquote grown up fast. It's used to negate any sort of thing that happens to a young girl, regardless of her own behavior.
yeah.
Like you could
Yeah.
sit there, I was go ahead.
No. I thought you were done, baby. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
No,
What
all
were
I
you
was
gonna
gonna say was I agree.
Was
It's
important.
Janet, damn it. I like that name too. It's Janet, damn it. Your point is valid. She said, "Listen, I chose fast money, fast car, fast clothes, and I'm okay with the title saying I was fast because I was, and I own it. And again, what I'm saying is, I think I agree that we need to stop using that term because I feel like that term is used for every girl who may be out here and may not necessarily be making the best decisions. It's like, oh, she's fast. Oh, she's fast. Also, I think sometimes the girls have to grow up, right? They're in kind of what you guys have been saying. They're in situations where they have to take on these more adult roles. And I think that term has just been used as a one size fits all. And I think that's kind of what we were saying. Listen, if you say, listen, I fit that definition and I'm okay with it, girl, do you? And I ain't even mad about it. But I think it's kind of like using the word narcissist. Like every time there's a man that's mean to a woman, oh, he's a narcissist. And there's a clinical definition for narcissism that doesn't always necessarily hit it. So I understand what you're saying. I understand your point. Um, Trina, I'm gonna let you come up and then we're gonna wrap it up because I know you tried to come up with, earlier and I think your phone wouldn't connect or something. Hey Trina, girl.
Hey, love, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Go ahead. What you got to say?
I'm just saying that these men has been getting a pass from the time that our grandparents was younger. Because my granddaddy was with my grandma and she was what 13, he's 18. So they've been getting a pass. And then for us to elect a president that says what he does to women and they overlook
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's what I don't understand. Now, if a woman say she did all that, she would be stoned, wearing the letter S. being get rocks thrown at her, everything. But these men can say and do exactly what they want to do, and they get away with it. Cassie, I'm glad she came out with it. But what gets me is the men that sat back and watched her and Kim get beat up. That's what I don't get. And now you want to come out and say, well, I saw it, I saw it. But why didn't you stop him when you seen him doing it? You watched her get stomped down and you didn't say anything because you was getting paid by a man. And now you want to come out and say, I saw him do this. He didn't pay me or whatsoever. Okay, this been years. So you should have you should have stopped that from the get-go. You should have got paid then. You should have said, look, man, I know you my boss, but I just don't agree with this. I don't agree with you doing a woman like you. These women had busted lips, faces swollen that they couldn't even identify themselves. And y'all sat around and let this happen. I'm not saying all men are the same. I'm just saying the men that we see that's powerful that think they can get away with everything. And lately they have been getting away with everything because the idiot that we had as the president, he told us what you should do. And this fool, I mean, people still elected him. He went to court. And I'm telling you how narcissistic he is. Instead of him going to court to defend himself against a rape charge, he was more concerned about how much money that people thought that he had and went to court in New York for the claims of New York, which he didn't even have to show up. But you showed up for that, but you didn't show up for your rape charges. Be for real. I mean, I ain't mean to bring y'all all the way back and bring y'all down, but I was just, just point out the obvious. They've been getting away with it forever. Well, I mean, like I said, ever since our grandparents was young, they've been getting away with it.
Trina, if I can offer something, sweetie, it's only been within the past 20 years that if you call the police, they would do more than just tell him to go outside, walk it off, and cool off. A lot of men approach domestic violence that way. I've run into men who say that they will not.
Somebody has something playing in the background.
Hold on. I'm gonna drop down.
Oh, okay. Thank you for coming up.
They would not. A lot of guys say, oh, the fastest way to get killed is to come between a man and his woman. That's kind of how it was viewed. That's why I just want to keep that in context. I'm not shooting them no bail, right? But I just think that, to be fair, is to say that culturally, we're not addressing the overall problem because it wasn't just the men, it was women too. There were other women. Look, there were other women who wouldn't even pull your coattail and tell you, don't go in VIP tonight. Watch your drink.
Right.
Don't get in the car.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Tracy. I'm gonna let you have the final word because it's almost, we've been here an hour and a half, so I still I want to let you shut what you got to say, baby. I'm gonna let you have the final word.
Oh no, I was gonna say something that was gonna get your blood pressure up, so I ain't even gonna do it.
All right. Well, Tracy,
no, I ain't even gonna do that.
If she said
I ain't even gonna do that.
I know she's telling the truth.
I ain't gonna do that. But I will say this: if anyone has done anything to take advantage of someone in any way and it was illegal, lock them up. Period. Point blank. I'm all a fan of, if you broke the law and you hurt someone, send them to jail. I'm fine with that. Absolutely 1000%. I am also fine on the other hand of saying that if the person willingly chose to do what they did and they actively went out to do that thing, I can't blame everyone else for what that person chose to do. Because that's one of the reasons why I'm not a Sukihana fan. I was like, that's her life. That's what she do. She chooses, and she lives it loud, proud, and everything else. So I don't get mad when things. I be like, oh, okay, well, that's between them. So for me, I just feel like if you broke the law and took advantage of someone, go to jail. Directly to jail. Sit next to Robert.
Oh, okay. All right, ladies. Again, thank you guys for coming up. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the Cash App. and I appreciate it. We will be back tonight at 9:20 to discuss tonight's episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss Married to Medicine. And in the meantime and in between time, if you have not already hit the like button, please do so. If you are not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We need about 40 more subscribers to get to 14K for the end of the year, y'all. We was aiming for 15K, but it looks like we're gonna hit 14K. And who knows? We might still get another 1,000 between now and January the 1st. Please thank you for doing that. And I forgot to drop the link for my other channel, but look on the community board. I have dropped link for all the other channels that are associated with Really Be TV, as well as the Teacher Project 2.0. If you guys, I did do the playlist that you asked me to do. If you guys could just watch a couple of episodes, let it play in the background while you cooking your dinner or warming up your leftovers or something. We're trying to get our watch time hours. We still need like 14,000. So, 1,400. So, yeah, that's what we have going on over here. I will talk to you guys later on today. Mwah! Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care, sweetie.
Thank you so much. You too.